Got to be careful of a push shot here as well. Oh, look at this for a shot. Look at this for a shot.
This week I've been searching for the most significant shots from the Tour Championships in Manchester. But as usual, we're looking for the best shot. So to find it, we're going to be recreating all of them as accurately as possible before playing them in the fewest possible attempts. But we're beginning with Tom Ford, who's really competing well against an informed Mark Williams after a cannon's gone wrong and he has to cut the red back the length of the table. Not only does he get this, he goes on to make his second century of the match a 1-3-6. Although this is just a good pot, the angle makes it awkward, and the fact that the cue ball's right underneath the cushion makes it tricky to judge where you're striking on the object ball. I got very close with my second attempt, but repeating this is becoming a little bit of a problem. It feels like I'm hitting the red in the right direction, but I can't really tell exactly where it's going. I think 5 attempts for this one though is pretty good. Well, I got there in the end, and because he was playing like that, Tom Ford was able to battle back to 9 frames all and take a 54-point lead in the decider before giving Mark Williams this chance, which looked like breaking down when Mark was on 9 before he took on this massively important green that allowed him to keep the break going and make a ridiculous clearance with 5 reds on the cushion at one stage. Although I've come way too far across the table with this one, I would have taken it if I just ended up on a red, but everything was blocking each other on that shot, so I've got to try again. I need to reduce the amount of left-hand side I'm putting on the cue ball to get the white in the right place. I've still slightly overdone it on this one, come the wrong side of the red, but I'm in good position. Mark Allen has got John Higgins in such a tough snooker he can't even swerve the cue ball to the cushion and has to play it off both jaws and hope for the best. Despite this, he manages to land in the pack of reds and get the cue ball relatively safe, not really leaving anything easy on. It may look easy, but after my first 2 attempts, you can sort of see how difficult it is to judge the right angle out of the jaws. I couldn't really tell exactly where this one was going, and the last 2 shots have felt roughly the same to me. However, I finally got one that's going roughly in the right direction. It just nicked the red on the way through, but it's buried safe in the reds. However, it was Mark Allen who won this first round match 10-7 in the end, and this long pot gave him a great chance in the 5th frame, although he didn't specifically win this frame because he was already too far behind. To be honest, I thought I got that one, and it's especially annoying because I got the cannon right as well. And I've just slightly overcut my next one. I need to just find that lighter little gap where it's going to work, and I've just about got it right. I need to get some chalk on the cue because it's time for our standard Mark Selby long red screwing back into bulk that he plays in almost every tournament, and the first round against Gary Wilson was no different in the Tour Championships. As you can tell, my first attempt was actually quite a long way out, but that's probably because I'm trying to do this with a regular cue ball, meaning I have to inject more pace, so 3 attempts is pretty good even if I did hit the brown. But it was Gary Wilson who took an 8 frames to 6 lead and made an excellent start in this frame, podding the long red and controlling the cue ball across the table perfectly for the black. I genuinely thought my first attempt was good there. I just need to be a little bit more accurate, and that's gone in, so we can move on to the next shot. In the very same frame, Mark Selby makes his comeback and pots this excellent long brown to try and make the clearance. He doesn't really end up in good position on the blue, but gets that anyway, and eventually ends up in good enough position on the pink to finish it off. However, he didn't end up finishing off the match, as Gary Wilson ended up winning it 10-8. It's not the hardest shot, but I was still pleased to get it right away. Ali Carter wasn't giving Barry Hawkins a chance at the beginning of their first round match. Here he punches in this long red, stunning the cue ball through the gap for the black, and goes on to win the frame to make it 6-1. Barry would eventually mount a comeback, but Ali ended up closing the match out 10 frames to 8. As it turns out, this is a punch shot rather than a stun shot, as I just need to manipulate the angle a bit to get the cue ball through the gap between the red and black. I'm getting that right, but that's making the pot pretty difficult to line up accurately. But I've got it, and the cue ball's gone nicely through the gap for the black. Ali Carter would take on Ronnie O'Sullivan in the quarterfinals, where Ronnie would race to a 9-2 lead and finish the match off with his double. And I had to include this one because it was described clearly as cheeky. I usually find it pretty awkward to double the object ball into the corner pocket like this, especially when it's so far up the cushion like it is now. And often I'll find I straighten it up a little bit too much and don't give the red enough angle. And I'm struggling to get that right at the moment. Although that looks a lot more like it, and I've got the white roughly in the right place as well. But up against that, we got yet another Ronnie O'Sullivan double. He's just played an excellent positional shot that didn't really work out and pushed both reds to the side cushions. But he ends up doubling the red back into the top pocket again and goes on to make a break that wins the frame. I've got it on my first attempt, but not properly, as it went in off the other red. But the fact that that shot was on was probably the reason Ronnie played this shot in the way that he did. I've just got to try and find the pocket now, which wasn't easy. But which was the cheekiest double? Because of the difficulty and significance of both of these shots, they each received 4. However, I'm making the second one this week's winner because the frame was still live. Mark Williams now faces Judd Trump in the quarterfinals and has taken an early lead, although he's a little way behind in this frame, but this long red is about to get him right back into it. He eventually goes on to win this frame as well, taking a 3-0 lead. Again, this is one that may look simple, but you have to be so unbelievably accurate cueing out from underneath the top cushion. I was pretty happy this went in after just 3 attempts, but I didn't quite hit it hard enough. Mark races away to an 8-4 lead before missing a black that doesn't appear to have left Judd much of a chance, but Judd manages to pot the red off the back of the black and remain in position. However, he doesn't end up winning the frame and loses the match 10-4. But this shot looks quite tough, so is it? Honestly, no, it was a lot simpler than I thought it was going to be and borderline unmissable. Mark Allen's trying to level at 2 frames all, and he's already 40 points in front when he makes this excellent long red that's at a bit of a weird angle, and you've got to dig down off the cushion. However, he ends up losing the frame when Ding makes a 70 break. As you can see, this is another shot where the angle's really difficult to judge, but this one the red's closer to the cushion, meaning I have less pocket to aim at and just making the shot a lot more challenging. On top of this, I'm digging down at the shot from off the cushion, and I've noticed I must be putting a small amount of unintentional right-hand side on the cue ball, because when I hit this shot a little bit too hard, it goes to the side cushion, and when I play it too slowly, it goes to the top cushion. Because of this, I've just got to try and get the pace right that makes it go towards the pocket. I'm getting closer as time goes on, but I definitely think this is the shot I've had the most trouble with this video. Ding remained in front until 8-7, and this excellent red in the middle pocket gave him a real chance of taking a 9-7 lead. However, he ended up losing this frame on a re-spotted black, and the next 2 as well, losing the match 10 frames to 8. I'm quite a long way away with my first attempt, but somehow I've managed to fluke it. Surely I can't do the same thing twice in a row. Yep, I don't know how that's happened. I've finally made the correction on my third attempt though, and I've actually got further back down the table than Ding did. I'm not really sure how that happened. Back to the Judd Trump Mark Williams match next for some reason. Alright, who's been messing with the order of my clips? Either way, Mark pots this excellent red with the rest and cannons the yellow out from the cushion, which he's going to need because he's a long way behind. And despite this, Mark eventually goes on to win this frame and the match 10-4, which I'm pretty sure I already said. My first attempt wasn't too bad really, I just put a little bit too much side on it, which seems to be a common theme with me in these shots. I've backed it off for my third though and got the cannon about as well as I could expect. On to the semi-finals now, and this one was close as Ronnie O'Sullivan 6-5 in front but ways behind in this frame. But he manages to pot this red down the cushion, which is a bit awkward, and go on to make a 57 break and win the frame. He eventually then won the match 10-7 against Gary Wilson. So it goes without saying, this was a good pot to get straight away. On to the final now, and after levelling 1-1 with Mark Williams, Ronnie O'Sullivan makes this great start to the third frame. However, he doesn't get on another red after the blue, and Mark Williams wins it with a 91 break. Again, I'm using the regular cue ball, which I've just about got, but I've got to throw my entire body at it. It didn't quite work on my second attempt. I was a little bit surprised I potted it, so I've got to try and pot it again and get back further. I've managed to do that, but still haven't got the cue ball. I'm a little bit short of being able to cut the blue in the middle pocket comfortably. So I've got to somehow pot it again and hit it even better, despite the fact that I can't really get anywhere near a lot of these shots because I'm throwing so much of my body at it. I've just about got far enough on that one. It's not really enough, but I can comfortably cut the blue in. And as that's all Ronnie did, I'm just going to stick with that, I think. Ronnie has more success with this next red as it allows him to hold position on the green and make a 102 break. This period of play saw Ronnie make 3 centuries and go from 3-1 behind to 5-3 in front. So it's a fairly significant shot, and I think if I was just trying to pot this ball rather than stun it, I'd get it fairly quickly. But this seems a bit challenging to me, having to pot it at this much angle and play it as a stun shot at the same time. But it's a great shot to hold for the green, and I've just about got away with it on my fourth. We've got another Mark Williams shot right after we find Little Peak, who's in Laguardia, Algeria, which is there. And this Mark Williams shot is incredibly significant as he's now 5-3 behind in the final and needs to swerve around the pink in order to make the clearance. Had he judged this shot wrong, the frame could have gone the other way and would have completely changed the course of the final. And I completely got it wrong on my first attempt, not swerving it enough, but corrected it for my second. That's got Mark back to 5-4 behind, but he still hasn't finished off this frame as he's run a little bit out of position. So this excellent pot in the middle pocket was absolutely crucial, as well as a really difficult shot with the cue ball being that close to the red. From here, Mark didn't lose a single frame in the final session and went on to take the match by 10 frames to 5. I really like this type of shot, so I'm not surprised I got it right away. So to the results, I'm giving third place to this long red from Ali Carter. Not only this is a really well cued shot, you've actually got to see it to execute it in the first place. Second place goes to this Tom Ford shot, probably the most difficult shot of the event, and it allowed him to continue his break. But first place goes to the shot in the middle from Mark Williams. Had he turned this down, he could have ended up losing the match, so this made a big difference. Our next recreation videos come from the World Championships, so if you want to see what that was like last year, these 2 videos will show you. And remember, don't just watch play, and make the commitment to becoming a better player by subscribing to the channel and visit the website. See you later.